Breaking news on KGW News at Sunrise.
Breaking this morning, a night of fires across the Northwest. Folks in Marion County being told to pack up and leave along the Santiam Highway. A lumber mill is burning in Molalla, and house fires broke out in the evening in West Linn and Newburgh.
Yeah, the wind we've been experiencing for the past 12 hours or so is a major factor in all of this. It brought down trees and power lines onto homes, and just before midnight, PGE reported that 100,000 people were without power. So even if your power stayed on, even if you didn't see any fires in your area, you more than likely saw and smelled the smoke that filled the skies late yesterday afternoon and into the night.
You could not miss it. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. In just a moment, we will get to the exact details of those evacuations and, of course, the very latest on the fires. But first, we do want to bring in Rod Hill.
Yeah, give us an update on the winds and the fire conditions this morning, Rod.
All right, so running you through some headlines. Behind me, the warning map, the high wind warning. The Weather Service at this point still has that up until 1 p.m. Again, this continues to be in effect for the Portland metro area, but not down into Marion County. Here are the current wind gusts, and quite frankly, these aren't overly bad. PDX out along the Columbia River leading the way, an east wind of 38 miles per hour. Let's widen out the map for you. Again, these are current winds. Newport, good morning. Your east wind gusting to 36. Again, the windy conditions primarily here on the west side of our state. Air quality, oh my goodness, wasn't that something to see and smell the smoke come into our skies so rapidly yesterday afternoon? The red dots on this map, unhealthy air quality. Right now, the yellow dots in the Portland area, much of the Willamette Valley, meaning our air quality is considered to be moderate to good at this point. We're at 67 degrees. I will say, as you look at a high of 85, air quality alert today continues for obvious reasons. I think the worst of the winds were last evening. We'll take a look at some of those high wind speeds coming up in just a moment.
All right, we'll stay in close touch, Rod. Thank you. Level 3 go now evacuations are underway in Marion County this morning along Santiam Highway. If you're in Mahama, Detroit, Mill City, Gates, Idana, or the North Fork corridor, you need to leave immediately. Officials are closing Highway 22 eastbound from Staten to Santiam Junction to clear the road for evacuees. However, if you're leaving from Detroit or Idana, you're asked to head east to Santiam Junction because of hazards in the roadway. Marion County Emergency Management is coordinating with the Red Cross to open an evacuation staging area at the Oregon State Fairgrounds in Salem. Lane County is also issuing go now evacuations for everyone from Leeburg east to the McKinsey Ranger Station. That includes anybody on roads north and south of Highway 126. An evacuation point is set up at Thurston High School in Springfield for everyone in Blue River and to the west of there. If you live east of Blue River, you need to head towards Sisters.
There are also evacuations happening right now in Clackamas County because of a brand new fire that's burned at least 25 acres already. It's between South Unger Road and South Bower Road. A shelter has been set up for people in that area right now at Colton High School. And as we mentioned right at the top of the 5 o'clock hour, the strong winds last night knocked over lots of power lines, and that's led to lots of fires all across the region. Here's just one example we want to show you. A 2-alarm fire that broke out at a lumber mill in Molalla off Highway 213. Early reports say this began around midnight when a tree fell on live wires in a nearby field. So Highway 213 was shut down, and this dramatic video from the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office shows those flames were right up against the highway there. You can see one of those patrol cars going by and the flames right there along the road. Crews again tell us that Highway 213 was shut down overnight, but believe it or not, it's already back open this morning.
Yeah, really scary video. We want to bring you a live picture. This is downtown Lake Oswego this morning, a spot that's always really hard hit because they have such tall trees and lots of buildings down near them. This is downtown, right near the library, where this large tree fell down overnight on 4th Street near D Avenue. You can see they've put up some yellow caution tape. But for now, our crews say they don't see any roads closed or any damage to that library building. We'll see as the sun comes up this morning, Drew.
Nina, let's talk about another fire we're tracking right now. We have a Clackamas Cove fire underway in Oregon City.
Yeah, Clackamas County fire officials tell us it's a brush fire that spread to an abandoned building, and crews were really in defensive mode on this one. Look at this. That building, they couldn't save it. No injuries have been reported. Meanwhile, our Catherine Cook followed a lot of the damage across the region last night.
High wind, heavy smoke, and mounting damage. We saw it all over the Portland metro area Monday night. In northeast Portland, wind uprooted this huge tree, sending it into the Grant High School swimming pool. Chuck Curry lives nearby and heard the cracking sound.
It reminds me of some of the other big windstorms that we've had in Portland, the big one in 1981 when I was a kid living here. And of course, this was before my time, but I know we always think back to the Columbus Day storm, anyone who lives in Portland.
Portland Fire and Rescue responded to multiple calls, trees falling into houses and branches falling onto people. Fortunately, no serious injuries so far. In East Multnomah County, a tree limb fell onto a power line, starting a fire on Highway 211. That's just outside of Sandy. Multiple roads there closed as firefighters responded.
With all the calls that have been going on, we have multiple apparatus responding to all sorts of situations, from trees down to limbs and power lines down to small little fires created from those power lines down.
In the high-risk fire zone near Mount Hood, PGE temporarily shut off power. They called it a last resort precaution to protect the community during extreme wildfire conditions and high winds. And in Hillsborough, firefighters responded to a wind-driven brush fire near Northeast 41st Avenue. It grew to about an acre before crews put it out. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
So as Catherine just reported, the damage overnight really widespread. Let's start with Multnomah County. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office says a dozen people were stranded in their vehicles on East Larch Mountain Road because of downed trees there. Those people did manage to get out safely, though. And our viewers have sent us so many photos over the last few hours. This is from Heather in Vancouver. She posted this picture of a tree on her neighbor's truck there. Then we have James. James took this photo of a split tree that blocked a road in West Lynn.
Oh, what a mess. Christy says the wind took out what she thought was the stronger section of her fence. Didn't turn out to be that way. And look at this video from Southeast Hawthorne. A dumpster just blowing across the road as some people just watched. Yeah, and then here in a second, you're going to see a couple run up and stop it before it slams into that building there. Just wild stuff. If you got some great photos or some video, it's really easy to share it with us right from the KGW app. Just click the Near Me tab. It's in the bottom right-hand corner, and we can get those and share them as well. So, of course, all of this smoke, it's not good to breathe in. Look at what it looked like late yesterday afternoon. This is downtown Portland, you guys. How nuts is that? It's a good idea, officials say, to still kind of stay inside with the doors and windows shut today. Also, take extra care if you have a condition like heart or lung disease or asthma.
Air quality is going down, health risks are going up, and we just want to warn people to be careful about the air, in particular when it comes to wildfire smoke. It can cause these very small particulates that if you breathe them in, they can just get deep into your lungs.
Emergency officials recommend keep a flashlight and batteries on hand in case you still lose power.
Well, plenty of people did lose power overnight, and we're tracking ongoing outages across Oregon and Southwest Washington this morning. At last check, PGE is reporting almost 88,000 customers without electricity. Pacific Power is reporting more than 23,000 outages, and Clark Public Utilities has at least 6,000 customers who've lost power. You can keep up with the very latest fire conditions if you head to our website, kgw.com, or by downloading our news app. We're also sharing updates on our Facebook and Twitter pages.
All right, let's talk about the situation in California for a moment, because a wildfire state of emergency is in effect there, with a record heat wave and dry conditions fueling dozens of fires in California. One of the largest, the Creek Fire, has scorched tens of thousands of acres already, and it remains totally out of control this morning. NBC's Dan Sheneman has more from California.
In central California, the Creek Fire has claimed nearly 80,000 acres. The fire incinerating everything in its path. while firefighters desperately try to save homes from the flames. The Creek Fire, one of more than 20 fires burning across the state. East of Los Angeles, the El Dorado fire has claimed more than 11 square miles. Authorities say the fire started Saturday, triggered by a pyrotechnic device used at a gender reveal party. Firefighters battling the flames and the weather.
The weather is supposed to be hotter and drier the next several days, continuing with the forecast of what we've had.
A record heat wave across much of California has made the conditions and the terrain ideal for wildfires. By one estimate, wildfires have charred more than 2 million acres of California landscape this year. Dan Scheneman, NBC News.
Well, back here at home, supporters of President Trump and counter-protesters clashed by the Capitol in Salem yesterday, and video shows some of the right-wing protesters shooting paintballs at Black Lives Matter protesters and then police moving in to make arrests. Before this, a car cruise of the president's supporters gathered at Clackamas Community College and then headed towards Salem.
I think it's great. I think it's good to see everybody out here united, standing for one thing: no flag burning, flag waving.
The event's organizer says he put this together in just 5 days. And protests for racial justice continued in Portland, but things stayed very calm yesterday. Folks gathered at Cathedral Park in North Portland in the afternoon to hear from speakers like Letha Winston. Her son, Patrick Kimmons, was killed by Portland police in 2018. A grand jury cleared the officers involved in that incident. After listening to speakers, demonstrators marched through parts of North Portland, but there were no protests or gatherings later in the evening, likely due to the wind. All right, let's get to the latest with your forecast with Rod.
That's right.
Good
we want
morning,
to talk
guys.
more about that, Rod, because we saw the viewer video. It was pretty incredible. How strong were things blowing yesterday?
Well, so this graphic behind me, we'll go ahead and show this to you. I put the times on these graphics. These are unofficial peak wind gusts, if you will, but from the National Weather Service. Beaverton at 8:12 last evening, 59 miles per hour. Government Island there along the Columbia, of course, 60 mile per hour gusts at 7:40. Troutdale 55, PDX 47 last night just before 6 p.m. The Fremont Bridge, a 53 mile per hour wind at 7:22. I put those times there to highlight the fact that it appears that last evening was, in fact, the windiest period that we are going to see here in the Portland metro area. So fingers crossed that is true. Now, the wind warning is still up until 1 p.m. this afternoon. But today's forecast for the Portland metro area, east winds generally 15 to 35. The best chance to see a 50 mile per hour gust pop will be in proximity to the Columbia River out near the gorge. I'm not sure that even happens. Tomorrow, no warnings, east wind 10 to 25, still some 40 mile per hour gusts in East County. That's kind of typical stuff, right? And then by Thursday, the winds continue to go down. But the fact that we keep an east wind direction means we still are at risk for smoky, hazy conditions and poor air quality. Right now, we're at 67 degrees. Air quality alert is in effect. Here's our latest smoke, which doesn't look that bad this morning, actually, at 8 o'clock. I do want to show you, here we are at 4, some thicker wildfire haze from Mount Jefferson into Salem. And then tomorrow morning, watch the bright colors up at the top of your screen, a thick wildfire smoke plume that works across Clark County tomorrow evening. So we'll see if that comes true. You folks in Salem and Corvallis, east winds today 15 to 35 miles per hour, air quality alert. And then we have the high wind warning for still the Portland metro area up through Clark County. Vancouver today about 85 degrees. Forecasting 85 with thick wildfire haze. Thinner haze tomorrow back up to about 90. By the way, happy to tell you I am in the Weather Center, in studio this morning. I feel like a kid, kind of, you know.
You're back to your old self. We missed you out of your home studio and back here at home. All right, talk more later. Thank you, Rod. Coming up after the break, we will have a look at some of the day's top headlines in the morning rush. And Nina, the big national story, Michael Cohen's book going on sale today.
Right, the president's former attorney unloading about his former boss in what they're calling a tell-all, what it's expected to reveal about the commander-in-chief and how the White House is responding. Then later, there's a lot to get used to with remote learning, including just the sheer amount of time kids are spending sitting in front of a computer. We're going to have some tips on keeping them healthy and a little more engaged.